Good evening, brothers, sisters, and gender norm resistors. It's Friday once again, which means it's time for another Pirates of the Geek Vortex podcast with me, your host, Ollamh. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, we're back again with the topic of everything old is new again. Because wow, some of the stuff that's been coming up lately has been people trying the same old shit. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the voice chat with everybody else. All right, hello everybody.
Hello, hello.
And how has everybody been this week?
We were just discussing that.
It's been an eventful week, and you?
It's been all right, for the most part. Thankfully, nothing too surprising or unexpected.
That's always good.
Something to be said for just nice and
Routine.
so boring as so routine as to be almost banal.
Yes, I would agree with that. So yes, some of the things that I've done recently, started work on the actual outside of the ship and stuff like that. Also got the captain's quarters actually installed.
Woot! I've seen some of what you posted online recently.
Yeah, the our card for today has Gamer's Grotto just kind of like outside of the captain's quarters, trying to pound on the window like, "Hey, let me in."
I was like, is he fixing a crack or is he just washing the window?
No, I just decided, hey, you know what? We should put somebody outside because why not?
And we picked the Canadian. Poor Gamers. We really do pick on him a lot.
It's true. It is true. So yeah, with the actual ship, I've realized that as I put in more details, that it has really you can really tell some of the influences that I had when I was designing it.
Yeah, the carpet looks so familiar. I just can't place it.
Well, I mean more the general structure of the hull of the ship.
Oh, I know. I'm just going off of everything. It's just the carpet's the one thing that stood out to me where I was like, I know that. I just can't place it. Because we already talked about how you took inspiration from, like, the Unreliable.
Yeah. The Unreliable a little bit as far as, like, how some of the interior is set up. The exterior's a bit more from, I guess, from three very specific things, I guess. One is either the Lambda class shuttle or the little model ship that Luke has, with the tall spire and down the tall fin in the middle, and then two more angled ones off the side. And then there was a very heavy influence from the Mandalorian helmets, with the design of the windows, and even I even put in, like, towards the front lower angles kind of are caved in, kind of to mirror, like, the recessed cheeks that the helmets have.
See, I was mostly just looking at the robot my picture is in and thinking, the Black Hole by Disney.
Yeah, I can see that. Those are the Securitrons from Fallout New Vegas.
Which, I will admit, it felt so good to just start a new game and kill Victor the moment he started talking to me.
Really?
Well, because I'm irritated right now, because I got to the point where I have to choose, do I want to take over New Vegas, or do I want to help Mr. House? I need to talk to the Emeritus. However, someone in the club started giving me shit, and I accidentally punched them in the face with a brass knuckle and killed them, so now the whole club wants to kill me.
Accidentally.
Yes, accidentally.
You know, like when you're playing Oblivion and you're being followed around by two guards who are helping you, and one of them accidentally attacks the other while aiming for another enemy, and now the two guards are fighting each other to the death?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Like that, except the entire club is now 90% dead, and I have to keep reloading, and the strip now went from worshipping me to vilifying me, so now I gotta work on that too. I was like, damn it, I just got my reputation to where they accepted me, and now it's like, nope, they hate you again.
So yeah, one of the influences for the exterior of the ship that I don't think a lot of people are going to realize is actually from the Space Quest series. The actual, like, angular design and placement of the windows is actually from pretty much directly from the aluminum mallard.
Yeah, because I noticed it looked familiar, but I was like, I get the general shape. It gives me a sense that I've seen it before, but I couldn't place it.
Yeah, it's, like I said, that's one of those, I don't know how many people would actually look at that and be like, oh yeah, it's this. Because that is just a kind of an older, a much older reference that not a lot of people today would remember. And even the people that have seen it, they'd be like, you know, it kind of looks familiar, but I don't remember from what.
That is a perfect segue into today's topic, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah. So yes, today's topic, everything old is new again. And I mentioned this in the Pirates text chat there. That yes, there, you know, I kind of came up with this one because of a news article that I saw come up that was Elon Musk is wanting to start a town for his employees. I think for the for Twitter employees, I think. I'm not sure if.
No. I'm reading an article now. It says he specifically wants them for his companies, The Boring Company, Tesla, and SpaceX.
Okay.
You see, remember when we started out Musk's character sheet? If we had ever given him knowledge history, we need to strip him of that now.
Yeah.
Well, no, because see, when we did the character sheet, I kept saying the classes we gave him didn't quite seem right because it seemed like he was being a little more, what was it, wink, wink, nudge, nudge than we were giving him credit for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's the way he posts things on Twitter these days. It's very much kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and it's just he's nudging with a sledgehammer.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I'm really curious as to how he's really wanting to put this together, because it sounds like the old company town from,
Oh,
yes,
all the mines and stuff.
Well, looking at this article, I realized I know the county that he's buying the land in. Oh, this is going to be horrible.
That bad?
So he wants to put it in Bastrop County, Texas. I have family in Bastrop. It makes New Vegas look real, we'll put it that way.
Oh, wow.
It is miles of flatlands, scrub, no cell service in some parts. They haven't heard of the internet in some parts. Yeah, it's wide open and flat, but they don't take kindly to newfangled things, shall we say.
Right.
See,
So
I want to think you're making this up. I've met someone who is scared of people doing math in their head. Like, literally thinks it's witchcraft. So now I know. You're not making this
it's not
up.
that they're that old-fashioned. It's just, Bastrop is mostly a community that when the kids grow up, they just get the hell out of there as soon as they can. So it's mostly the elders. But also, the only way I see this going is either they're going to embrace it, thinking that they can finally be like Austin, because that's the closest city, or they are going to shut it down and be like, no, we are a mining county. We know what this shit does.
Yeah, I mean that's my question as far as how he's looking at doing this. It's like, okay, so who owns the houses and stuff? It's like, does Musk or one of his companies own them? Do the employees own them? If it's the employees, it's like, well, what happens if somebody quits or gets fired? Do they just, nope, okay, you're fired, you lose your house?
If you did something where it was eventually going to become employee owned, you would either have to give them a huge advance, at which point, yeah, you're basically in exactly the situation you've just described, or they're just going to be putting equity towards it, and if they do get fired, maybe they get some sort of refund, although I could see them perfectly well getting screwed out of it.
Yeah, I could too. I mean, I think it, knowing how Elon tends to do things and tends to like to be the one in control, and this is just a benefit. I wouldn't be surprised if he's gonna if he's like, okay, I own the houses, or my company owns the houses. You guys might be able to rent it for free, live there for free if you're a high enough employee. Otherwise, you're renting from us.
Well, that's exactly what it says. It says right here, according to reports, Musk wants employees at his company, The Boring Company, Tesla, and SpaceX, all of which have major production facilities near Austin, to be able to live in new homes with below market rents. Also, he is looking to purchase nearby city Snailbrook. So he wants to buy an entire town and build a company town.
Yeah.
It will not be below market rent. I don't care what he says. He's either going in with rose-tinted glasses, or it's a bait and switch.
It's funny that we were talking about Fallout, and I guess, that we bring up Borderlands a lot, because this is exactly what's happening right here.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean that was a very popular thing back in the mining era. It was, you don't have, you're right next to work and all of this stuff. It's great. By the way, we own everything. We own the shops. We own all of this stuff. So basically, it's a perfect way to keep the money in the company's pocket, because it's like everything that you buy is bought from a company store. The rent that you pay is paid to the company. So they're just keeping all of the money for themselves.
Yeah. Does anyone else have a Spacer's Choice theme going through their head?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking it's economic horseshoe theory. I sometimes joke that China took communism capitalist, and now I look at something like this, like the very concept of the company town is taking capitalism communist.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
I mean,
it's built dictatorship.
Now, it's interesting that you bring up Spacer's Choice, because it's like, I can't help but wonder if somebody bought Musk a copy of The Outer Worlds, and he's like, oh, this is a brilliant idea. Why aren't I doing this?
Exactly. I was like, I'm just getting that entire first town that you go to in my head.
Yeah, same here.
I'm just, honestly, I can see it getting so much worse. He watches a Jeeves and Wooster serial, or finally reads the books, I don't know, and suddenly gets into the idea of the British knee. And doesn't get what it's an analogy for.
I think it's kind of on the nose, isn't it, though?
Yeah,
We're comparing it to Spacer's Choice, and he owns SpaceX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's the one that's the big push to, oh, we should go to Mars, and yeah, it's just.
Meanwhile, everybody who's ever played a post-apocalyptic anything is like,
this is good.
We're all just gonna band together and be like, where are you guys going? To the nearest bunker.
I mean, it's going to be that, or it's going to become Shadowrun, but without the magic.
Yeah. Well, Shadowrun for punk.
I was gonna say Shadowrun without the magic's just cyberpunk, isn't it?
It is. But I think about, the fact that 6 corporations own the world, and that's a very key part of Shadowrun.
Okay, so I've been joking around about how I want to live in a commune. How about we all just buy our own Fallout shelter? We'll just make Fallout.
I was going to say, you've heard the old idea of, hey, let's all put together, buy a parcel of land in Detroit, and build a castle. It's starting to look viable now.
No. I know Utah actually rents out. They will let you purchase their old abandoned nuclear missile silos. We can absolutely live in an old bunker.
So Shelby says he's already got SpaceX waking up nearby citizens all at crazy hours in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah, because Shelby lives in Arlington, which is not that far away.
Oh,
so, yeah.
No. So we actually have somebody who's like, oh, yeah.
I mean, I live next to train tracks, which used to annoy me till I got used to it, but...
I live near a military base, so yeah. You get used to test firing artillery and doing their scramble procedures.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, the fact that, like, it was, the stories about him making employees, or some employees at least, sleeping at their office after he took over Twitter. And he's like, no, I would never do that to anybody. I would never do that to anybody. By the way, I want to make a company town where people, where all of my employees are, like, right there, so that I can call them up at a moment's notice. It's like, that's not any better.
Also, now he also wants to build tunnels into Austin, leading from the company town.
He wants Disney World. Oh, gods.
You can't dig under Texas because they're on an independent power grid, and if you fuck that up, you fuck the whole state up.
I mean, that's never stopped it before.
Well, that's because Texas knows what it's doing. If it fucks its power grid up, they'd be like, our bad.
Well, I mean, to a certain extent. It's kind of like a few months ago, I think it was a few months ago now, when they're like, oh hey, so yeah, we have a power crunch because the wind, there's no wind today, so all of our wind turbines are producing nothing. It's like, yeah, that's kind of why you should have upped your, you should have had your solar panel, your solar energy generation equaling your wind, so that when the wind dies down, you're gonna have plenty of solar.
Oh, I mean, shit. They live near the Gulf. They could just easily do hydroelectric.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I mean, they've got perfect storage. I mean, I don't know what else to do there.
Oh God, Shelby saying, first night at Dad's, he lives closer. Total freak out for me. Didn't realize how close they were. Woke up at 2 a.m. with the windows and everything on the wall shaking. Thought it was an earthquake. I'm guessing from one of their launches.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. That's just, yeah.
Okay, so let's see.
I mean, now, to be fair, I mean, Musk has been pushing, oh, hey, just build tunnels everywhere for a long, long time. Hell, that's the whole point of the Boring Company.
If Zuckerberg is a robot and other people are lizards, is Elon just the mole people?
With his strong urge for underground living, I think so. I mean, for his, everything for him is like underground. Gotta go underground. Gotta put people underground.
Or maybe he's a time traveler and he comes from this world of nuclear apocalypse and he's trying to prepare us, but being very not obvious about it.
Wow.
He can't just come out and be like, hey, there's a nuclear apocalypse coming. He's like, let's go underground, guys. Underground? Cool.
I don't know. Mole King. Yeah, the man is so out of touch with everything.
I mean, we've got him over here doing every post-apocalyptic future, like company towns and everything. If we have one person suggest that we need to build Rapture or Columbia, I'm leaving.
I can no longer say that Mitt Romney is the most sheltered person I've seen on the world stage. I can't. I haven't been able to say that for a while now, but I said it in 2012, and I have been proven wrong.
Well, this is why when everyone sits there and they're like, the new president's an idiot. I'm like, the president? Have you looked at these assholes in charge?
Yeah.
Like, look around, man.
We are surrounded by idiots on all sides.
Simon and Garfunkel were right when they said the words of the prophet are written on the subway walls.
See, that would be my concern if Elon was like, oh hey, so maybe we should start building like underground bunkers and stuff like that. No, he would totally be the type of person that would go full vault tech. Like,
I didn't want to say it, but
yeah.
Well, no, because I would say like we should go underground and like buy a bunker, and then I was like, maybe not, because I don't want to go vault tech. But I was like, no, we wouldn't go vault tech.
I would not want to live underground just because I would not want to get sealed in there somehow.
Yeah. Fair.
We wouldn't go Vault Tech, but you know sure as shit, Musk would be like, yes.
You and I would not go Vault Tech. You and I would probably be closer to Bartertown, unfortunately.
I was living in Rogers Park in Chicago when the unpleasantness of 2020 began, and would sometimes not leave my very, very small 311 square foot apartment for a couple of days at a time. I don't want a repeat of that, ever.
Speaking as a non-choice hermit, I'm very good at living in closed spaces for long periods of time, but yeah, I'd want fresh air eventually.
I just say, for me, it's like, yeah, I mean, living underground, I don't think would be that, I don't think that would be as big of an issue for me, but then again, I'm the type of, I barely go outside to shop. That's like once a week type of thing. It's like, even then, it's like, I hate people.
We'll make a nice fancy room in the bunker, We'll have leaded glass as a skylight. That way we still get our vitamin D, just not the radiation that goes with it.
As a person who drinks 2 gallons of skimmed milk a week, I'm fine on sunlight, don't need any, thank you. I went out at night all the time, way back before everything began, and back when groceries were open 24/7. There's nothing more of a relief than going and getting your groceries at 3 a.m. when there is no line.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I love about 24-hour Walmarts. And nobody judges you because you're at Walmart.
Plants, plants would be a must. Some sort of a greenhouse. I mean, ideally we would have some way of growing food or something like that.
They make sun lamps.
Yeah.
We make fertilizer ourselves, so there you go.
God damn it! Now we're sounding like we're starting like we're trying to do The Martian.
Well, no, I was trying to say earlier, you and I would not go Vault Tech if we ever ran a community like this. Unfortunately, you and I both know what would happen if you and I ran a community. We've been the parents to a community, and we know it's very much good cop, homicidal cop.
Yeah. But you never quite know which is which. That's
hope to God that you're getting pulled in front of Ollamh, because if you can pull in front of Kate.
See, that's the thing. Everybody's like, oh no, I want to be pulled in front of Ollamh. It's like, not really, because I'm gonna make you feel. Because if you did something stupid, I'm gonna make you feel very stupid.
But see, that's still better than the alternative, because you know me, you know my temper. You at least have some amount of patience. Mine would just be like, you have 3 seconds to explain why I shouldn't throw this tack hammer at your head.
See, we'd have to have somebody working with you just to kind of like take the edge off a little bit, just like, don't kill people, don't.
That's what Shelby for. Shelby would do her usual love. We don't kill people.
We don't kill people for something like this.
I mean, let's face it, considering all the fungus you'd have to grow down there without sunlight, or limited sunlight, probably. You'd have to get good at turning it into all sorts of foods.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, you can have the UV lamps and stuff like that for growing foods.
Yep, there she goes. She knows that she balances me, but then once she runs out of patience.
Yeah, I mean... So let's see, what else So what other instances of like regurgitating old ideas and trying to pass them off as new could we come
Have you looked around?
The 80s are basically back.
Yeah, we were looking around at the mall, just like window shopping the other day. We passed a clothing store. We were like, oh, hey, look, the 70s are back.
Go down to Mattoon. There's still an open Deb. Do you remember Deb?
I remember Debs.
I do
To be-
not.
Deb
Oh.
were trendy when they came out.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember when we had such things as Meese.
I mean, we used to have a PacSun up until a couple of years ago.
Oh, wow, that's a blast of the 90s right there.
Yeah, I know. I'd go in and be like, they're trying so hard, but guys, it's never coming back.
It's like, I mean, I missed That's for Entertainment, which was right here in town, of course, until 2015.
I'm surprised they lasted that long.
They went for the obscure stuff. Like, it's not where you went for the latest Hollywood blockbuster.
Yeah.
It was the hipsters video store, and that's why we loved it. I was literally renting from them the week before they closed, and then I was buying from, or the week before they announced their closure, and then I was buying from them.
Yeah. See, we don't have many retro stores in town anymore, or like any older companies, because A, everybody wants to turn us into DC, which we're not, or B, if it's a, God forbid, niche store, aka gaming store, it just closes down within a month because every hipster in a 5-mile radius tries to shit on it.
I mean, we lost Dandelions here in town not too long ago. Wonderful vintage clothing store. I used to go to it more often, but, you know, things caused me to go out less.
Yeah, we had a great retro/games shop in my town for a while called Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, which just made me laugh because A, great name for a store, but B, there was a surprising amount of people who would look at the sign and be like, what the hell does Horseshoes and Hand Grenades mean?
How do they not know that reference?
I was like, you don't know the phrase maybe only or almost only counts in Horseshoes and Hand Grenades?
And atomic warfare.
That's not even an almost, that's a close enough.
Now, when you say retro gaming, we're talking like older video games, or
They had a little bit of everything. They had stuff from, depending on where their stock was coming from that day, they had stuff from the Commodore, the NES, all the way back to, you know, retro tabletop and things like that. So it's like, hey, cool, we got a little bit of everything. But then, of course, the D&D nerds came in and was like, hey, we need a place to game. And so eventually, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades went out, and then it became The Source. And then The Source went out of business because they were charging you $10 for a bottle of water, and you couldn't even come in and watch a game because if you wanted to sit at the tables, you had to actively be playing a game.
Jeez.
I mean, I like live action game that's here in town because they've got things going as far back I've seen as the Coleco and the Odyssey.
Yeah.
But so let me get this straight. They were not selling D&D stuff, and the D&D crowd wanted them to start selling D&D stuff?
Well, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades didn't sell, like, it wasn't a set thing, it was more of a thrift. So it was really whatever they got in, and they would put it up. And they had some custom stuff. And I think, like, the coolest part of the store was honestly their floor. They took the original wooden floor of the building, and then they covered it in old comic books, like just pages from like Fantastic Four, Superman, original run DCs, things like that, and then they just lacquered over it. So it was a fun store, but yeah, they didn't sell a lot of the D&D stuff because they focus more on like music and consoles and clothing. And so the D&D nerds were like, well, we don't have a place to play and we really want one. So then the Source moved in. But yeah, like I said, if you weren't actively playing the game, they would kind of pull that, well, is there anything we can help you with? Hey, do you want to look at our minifigures? Hey, maybe you should look at our new handbooks. And I was like, bro, I am actively working on a character sheet. Like, can you just leave me the fuck alone?
Yeah, that sounds like something stupid happened. I mean, I've seen what happens when two stores join forces. Gmart Comics rented out some space here in town to the Dragon's Table, and that worked out for at least a decade.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they did that again at the current location of Gmart, but I can't be certain.
I gotta agree with Shelby. Yeah, because people are dumb.
Yeah.
That is 9 times out of 10. That is the reason shit fails. Is people are dumb. They.
Yep.
I mean, we just got out of the. It's not new. It's been here for a while, but we just got out of the latest store that's been trying to get into the hobby game, which is it's called Your Hobby Place. Every story that you have ever heard, every hyperbole story of like the basement dwelling gamers that just find a place and congregate, and it slowly turns into nothing but like a ball of stank and funk. That's the store.
It does happen. I mean, I've seen many an unfortunate tale.
Unfortunately, the thing is, like, another weird coincidence that's been going on is that every game store that opens up in this town focuses on a single game. So, like, the source was D&D, but they have, like, Pokemon and Magic, but they specifically focused on Pathfinder. So if you were looking for anything else, you would never find it. The hobby place, or Your Hobby Place, unfortunately, focuses strictly on Warhammer. So if I want anything Warhammer, I can find it, but I can't find, like, they have a rack of D&D manuals, and that's it.
Specialization only works if there's demand for it. It's like, I swear, the number of people that are like, it's like, okay, yeah, we get it. This is your thing. This is your particular favorite. But how many people do you know? The number of people that you know that are into that exact same thing. That's what you need to look at. Because if you say, well, how many people? Well, everybody I know. It's like, yeah, but that's like what, 10, 20 people? That's not going to keep a store afloat.
I mean, I was joking around with my sister because she's retro. She used to like do Vampire the Masquerade, the Masquerade and everything, but she never got into Warhammer. So I was joking because they had all of their model paints, and they named each one after like a faction or anything. So they had like Greenskin Green, Worshipper of Corn, things like that. I was like, okay, so surely they're gonna have like a Slaanesh purple or something. Whole store, not one mention of Slaanesh. Come to think of it, I didn't see any of Zinch either, so I guess they're just not a Chaos store.
I will say that's one thing I never got in. Never got into Warhammer, but I've kind of learned a little bit about it just from some of the Blender tutorials that I follow.
Yeah, I learned a lot about it from, honestly, if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device.
That is what got me back into it. I got into it a little in the Third Ed days, with building a Tyranid army, and nothing enraptured me so much as TTS. And it's sad that stopped, but they have a new World of Darkness-based series, at least.
Yeah, well, Games Workshop is Games Workshop.
But at least they've got a good thing going now.
Yeah. I think the reason it got so many people into it is just because of the way they were perfectly legitimate rules, and you understood everything, but they did it in such a way to make fun of it that you realized how ridiculous it could have been.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I just learned how to use a flashlight on my Pip-Boy.
Really?
Really? I've only been playing the game for 3 weeks.
Side note, my hometown just decided they were going to put the following image in. I'm going to post this in the Discord. It is retro enough that it works with tonight's theme.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
we
no.
never really stick to a theme, so.
Yeah, I was
It's
about to say,
true.
everyone I talked to this show about, they're like, what's it about? And I was like, so, about that.
We start with a theme, and then we just kind of go from there.
Yeah, like, how long do you talk about things? Like, the topic, about 3 to 4 minutes. Whatever we decide to babble about.
So I just put this in general.
Oh,
Oh.
jeez.
Now, for those of you unaware, my hometown, Mattoon, hosts Bagel Fest every year. Bagel Fest, where you will bob for bagels in a vat of cream cheese. Bagel Fest, where they will roll an 800-pound bagel through the streets.
Yeah. Mattoon's a
Not-
weird place.
Yay, I can shove
Yeah.
4 garden gnomes in a desk.
Why are you shoving garden gnomes into a desk?
Because I'm over encumbered and I don't need the garden gnomes.
Do you ever really need garden gnomes?
Yes, because I never have enough caps.
You've reminded me of a horrible, horrible thing that happened at Gen Con.
I'm trying to find the weapons and stuff that Tabitha stashed at Black Mountain, and all I'm finding is junk. Oh, hey, there's the Super Stim Pack.
See, one year, there were a bunch of people playing a live-action version of Gnome Wars.
This already does not sound good.
I came up to them, camera rolling, and somehow talked them all into beginning a chant of 10 gnomes enter, 1 gnome leaves. That's really the whole story. And I have the film somewhere, but I'm like, you have to admit it's amusing.
Yeah.
It is.
I'll post it at some point if I can get the Discord to take a file that big.
I was gonna say, yeah, they're very strict on file sizes.
Yeah, even with Nitro, you gotta be careful. Although you could just put it in Dropbox and then give us the link.
That's true, although I'll need to empty out a lot of my Dropbox. I have it on my Facebook, though. I can link you guys later. Hell, it's on my TikTok now that I think about it. I was using it as a show intro.
Alright, well, if I'm so over encumbered, it's time to do some repairs.
Whatever it takes.
Well, I also over encumbered Boone. Maybe I should start giving some stuff to Rex.
Poor sniper is not a, he's a sniper. He's not supposed to carry a lot.
Holy crap! It went straight into video ideas, no problem.
Ooh, nice.
How many missiles do I have right now? It's probably a bad idea because I've been picking them up since the beginning of the mountain. Damn it, I have 21.
Yeah, New Vegas is. I mean, it's funny to how many people are like, oh yes, New Vegas is the best of the Fallout games. It's like, and it's the one that wasn't, Bethesda didn't really have anything to do with it. They put forward the money, and it's their Fallout 3 engine, but that's about it.
So it's the
Yeah, like-
Empire Strikes Back of Fallout?
Pretty much. Like, you get definite Bethesda vibes. Like, you can tell where Bethesda had some sort of say in it. But yeah, other than that, this definitely does not play like any other Bethesda game.
I think most of that stuff is, it's their assets, their like I said, it's still their game engine, it's still a lot of their assets and stuff like that. So it's like there's that, but it's like, but beyond that, it's like, yeah, that's about it.
I don't need 14 Sunset Sarsaparillas.
Yeah, but how many of them have the Star Cats?
Well, I've been drinking them like crazy, so. Unfortunately, I've also been getting a lot of like Psycho and all that shit. So, like, I don't need this, but it sells for a good bit.
So you just gotta visit somebody with money and sell your shit off.
Yeah, who is that exactly?
Well, okay, that's a fair point. Probably somebody you've managed to piss off.
I think the most money I've seen in a vendor right now was like 1,800 caps, and I can't remember who that was. I remember it was a woman. I know that it was incredibly horrible that I got the invitation to go see Kaisar. I love that everybody mispronounces it as Kaiser or Caesar, depending on where you are, but I went to go see Kaisar, and like they kept attacking me, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not supposed to be attacked, but sure, I'll get there. By the time I got to him, I was vilified, so it's just like, nope, we're gonna kill you on sight.
But you wanted me to comment. Your boss wants me to be here. He wants to talk
Like,
to me.
I was told that you would not be attacking me. Why are you attacking me? And then I realized that I was still wearing the NCR armor and was carrying around Boone. And I was like, oh.
Yeah,
right.
the armor would do it. It's, yeah.
Well, then I switched out to Legion armor, and they're still attacking me. Oh, right. Boone's NCR. And he hates the Legion. Right. I should pay attention to my companion backstories.
Well, yeah, that's generally it's generally a good idea.
Okay, so apparently I'm missing 2 bricks of C4 and what else? 5 frag grenades? Where the hell am I going to find 5 frag grenades in this pile of junk?
I was going to say, it's like, okay, you need the C4, but you need something to make the C4 go boom.
I think there's a detonator in here somewhere. You know what? I don't need the frag grenades. I don't even use explosives that much.
That's for me in most games. I don't use grenades ever. It's like,
well, especially if you have companions and like Fallout, you can do friendly fire because it's just like, well, what's the point of explosives? Because I'm just going to end up killing somebody.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the idea of using grenades.
Not the people that you want to kill.
It's like
what did I just do?
When I was when I was doing my first playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077, somebody was like, "Use grenades on this guy. It's much easier." I'm like, "I don't use grenades." It's like I kind of hate grenades. It's like they're just.
Oh, I know why I'm not finding Tabitha yet.
What did you do?
Well, no, I'm sitting here like, okay, I've like humped it all the way up this hill. I'm all the way, like, I'm halfway up the mountain. Why haven't I found anybody yet? And I realized I took the detour to the radio broadcast station, so I'm not even halfway up the mountain yet.
Yes. That is one of the qualities of a Bethesda game. I'm gonna go and do this. Ooh, shiny. Oh, hey, what's
Yeah.
this? Hey, buddy, what do you need? It's like,
I will be completely honest. I stumbled across the Brotherhood of Steel completely by accident. I was just running around and I was like, well, Black Mountain's been marked on my map for ages, as has Hidden Valley. I'm just going to run to Hidden Valley because it's closer and I'll get it marked off. And I saw the bunker and I was like, bunkers? Well, there's usually probably something good in it. And then the next thing I know, I'm surrounded by the Brotherhood. It's like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here.
hi, guys.
Am I the only one who expected a ranch sauce tsunami?
I don't know.
You cannot unthink it now, can you?
Unfortunately, I can, but only because worse things come into my head.
Okay, that's fair. Or unfair, depending on how you look at it.
Depending on what takes place.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's. Knowing just some of the things that can go through Caden's mind, yeah.
He's like, I don't want to know what's going on up there.
Nope, just stay away. Just.
Jesus, Shelby. You have 20 pages of writing prompts and you're telling me that you never have anything to write? Cuddles? Cuddles.
Huh?
Oh, I'm reading the entries on the computer. It's like the super mutant with the scar across his face. I've taken to calling him Cuddles.
Ah.
This is why in a co-op game, you and I would probably never get anything done.
I don't know what you mean. We'd get plenty of things done. Just not the things that we're supposed to be doing.
We would have an amazing, very well fortified base, a lot of weapons, and a lot of lore. Barely any of the story done.
Yeah.
We'd be in... The three of us would probably be in Morrowind, with Dagothur trying to flag us down from the middle of the map.
Yeah, pretty much. And just be like, excuse me, do you remember how I'm a threat? No, we don't. If you don't mind, we're trying to decide the color of our latest Spire. Go away.
But things that are new again. He-Man in 2 different flavors. 3 if the live-action film comes out.
See, I was trying to avoid any thinking about like all the retro shows and everything. That's what I originally thought we were doing tonight when you're like, everything old is new again. It's like, oh, please tell me we're not talking about reboots. But
No.
Night Court is a continuation.
Look, I'm still mad that they're bringing out another Scream.
I don't know. I never really got into any of those.
Neither did I.
I got into Scream. That's it. Scream 1. Watch the first one. It's like, okay, that's enough for me. Now we're on like what, 9?
6, I thought.
Nope. Hold on. Let me see.
I haven't watched any of them. I lost count.
Well, the next one is Scream 6.
I could have sworn we were past 6.
I mean, to be fair,
Scream franchise.
Friday the 13th passed that long ago.
Oh, there was
No?
also a TV series.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're on Scream 6. Although we named the 5th one just Scream, and now we're naming the Scream 6 Scream. So
You mean like the way they basically paved over the Mortal Kombat attempted reboot?
we don't speak of that.
I mean, they've been continuous since then. I'm talking the video games, though. I haven't seen the
Yeah.
movie yet.
The new movie's kind of iffy. It's not bad, but they tried rushing things, so to speak. Okay, I've been playing so much Atomic Heart, I saw that ghoul in a black jumpsuit and immediately wanted to kill it.
Come on now, ghouls aren't that bad.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's the black jumpsuit. It's gonna. Oh, wait, why isn't it attacking me?
Well, okay, now with Fallout, especially the newer Fallouts, you know, the black suits generally are viewed as being bad things.
I mean, the ones that talk, I've been relatively okay with.
I just thought of another thing. Castlevania 2 got a big major fan remake recently.
See, yeah, the remakes and stuff. I mean, you know, that's fair. That is fair as far as bringing those up. But yeah, I mean, everybody's doing remakes and instead of like new shit.
Yeah.
Of course, there was.
Did I just make a new companion by accident? Rex, go home.
Hey, Rex is a good boy.
I love Rex, but right now I'm getting tired of him like standing right behind me indoors, and I need another gun.
Okay, that's fair. He does tend
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
I mean, actually, Rex is probably the one killing more things than Boone at this point. Yeah, just send Rex back to the Lucky 38, so that way, at least if Boone goes unconscious, I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, that's
Wait.
one of the things I hated in Fallout 4 was dog meat when he gets injured. It's like, oh man, no, I feel like a horrible person now.
Oh, I could have kept Rex because it's Boone that you're saying is my help. Great. If they would explain stuff a little better in this game, it would be so much easier.
Well, yeah, but where's the fun in that?
Okay, I'm gonna take all your armor and all your guns. You can keep your precious beret. You're gonna hold all my junk, and you're gonna go straight back to the Lucky 38. That's what you're gonna do.
Wait, did you just strip Boone down to his skivvies and send him across the Mojave?
Yes, I did. With a garden gnome. Carrying a lot of drugs.
Well, I mean, at least he's got company.
True. And, well, I sent Rex back before him, so technically he's with Rex.
I don't know. He's not gonna catch up with Rex.
No, but we said Rex is a good boy. Rex will see him and be like, "Oh, that idiot needs help."
God, he said. Logic. What is this logic you speak of?
Also, I love the fact that I have to guess. Okay, no, I'll give him some pre-war relaxed wear. So there, he has some clothes on him. And you get a brick of C4 and a baseball bat. There, you have protection now. Oh my God, you look like an angry office worker.
Oh God, it's falling down.
Okay, so I don't have the spotter perk anymore. And I'm gonna miss the fact that, he was a sniper, so I would often just watch stuff die that I didn't even know was there.
Yeah, but
A regular maintenance perk.
So which companion did you pick up?
I found Raoul.
Ah.
I didn't even know he was a companion. I was just running through, opened a door, and there he was. He's like, "Hey, you saved me." I did what now?
Huh? What? Oh, okay. Sure, I meant to save you. That was my goal all along.
Absolutely. Okay, I should also give you 44 Magnum rounds for that revolver I gave you. And some rounds for that machine gun. There. Okay.
How many weapons are you giving him?
That's one thing I learned with Boone, is that he will burn through ammo like crazy, so I just give him, like, every spare weapon I can. Oh, shit. Okay, so taking Raoul was a bad idea. Hi, Tabitha. Bye, Tabitha. Well, I was wondering why I hadn't met Tabitha yet.
Ah. I guess she doesn't like Raoul.
No, I'm taking Raoul, and she took offense to that.
Oh.
Okay, I am so screwed up as far as points right now. I have 43 barter, 30 energy weapons, 33 explosives, 30 guns, 74 lockpick, 47 medicine, 34 melee, 100 repair, 52 science, 48 sneak, 33 speech, 19 survival, and unarmed.
Just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I will say I am a little concerned as far as the new Fallout game. I am a little concerned about this.
I don't think I've heard anything about it.
It's going to be set in the UK.
That almost sounds promising, but
I'm not sure
the
how
butt
to feel
coming.
about that.
See, it has some promise, a little bit of promise there, but it's one of those things where it's like I'm not entirely sure how to feel about it as far as basically as far as the I don't know what they're gonna do to put in place to replace Vault-Tec. Because Vault-Tec was very much an American company, so it's like, what's taking Vault-Tec's place?
Yeah, that would be interesting to see.
I mean, and it sounds like it kind of sounds like they're going with like this shadow organization type ideal, which. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I mean, well, hell, I don't think they would even have a Brotherhood of Steel in the UK.
Probably not. I mean, the UK would be one thing. Part of me wonders what it would be like to do Fallout China, all things considered.
Well,
If I read more right, China would be the reason we have Fallout, so yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, I don't know if they would go to China though. Mostly because it was it was an American-Chinese war in the lore that started that caused the
right.
The nuclear war.
Maybe Fallout Russia then.
Wouldn't that be the atomic heart at this point?
Well, no, think about it. They could just turn things on its head. Oh, there's no nuclear radiation in Chernobyl. Rest of Russia is screwed, but Chernobyl's fine for some reason.
Actually, that would be hilarious. You know, the ghouls and mutants and super mutants and Chernobyl like, what's different?
Oh, okay, this is.
There's radiation everywhere, and.
I mean, considering when the war takes place and the state of the world at the time, where in Africa would you put a Fallout game? I'd presume South Africa, but
I don't know.
Oh no.
Fallout Morocco, Fallout Tunisia.
You know, actually, that reminds me of the documentary we were watching yesterday about a abandoned company town in Brazil. That's so on the nose with its name. It was what was it? Fordopolis? Basically, it was Ford, and back when Henry was running it, he needed the rubber for the tires, but Britain had a monopoly on the rubber game and was charging outrageous prices. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go buy this property in Brazil, and I'm gonna make my own rubber factory. Just whole town for nothing but rubber.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. And then why did they quit? Because it was a company town and you had to buy everything through Ford.
Yeah. That's the other thing that concerns me with Musk and his shit. It's like, okay, yeah, are you gonna is it gonna be, hey, if you need anything, if you need to buy anything, you have to go out to, another town? Or is it going to be, oh, well, we'll bring this stuff in and we'll have company, we're going to have company stores. We're going to go the full, we're going to go full tilt.
Why do I have the feeling we're going to hear a heartwarming buddy story about Elon and Bezos finally burying the hatchet?
Oh, God.
You can get everything you need through Amazon.
Stop the world. I want to get off.
Yeah.
I love when I find unique enemies that I have no idea why they're there. But at least I found the Brotherhood.
So you know what else finally came back this year, or recently?
What's that?
Well, I'm not going to be buying it because I'm not liking the way Wizards of the Coast has been acting lately, but they finally brought in some Dragonlance books.
Oh.
Only took them 8.5 years of D&D 5th edition to get around to it. And it's been about 20 years since the last time they released a Dragonlance campaign setting book. Funny enough,
yeah, I was gonna say, it almost sounds like they're on a purposeful schedule.
I was going to say, last year they finally released the first Spelljammer campaign setting since 2nd edition in '89. Yes, really. I have a copy. They're not reprinting that one. Not in the form I have it. They made some screw-ups.
No.
I love how you can tell by the tone of voice. It's like, that's the best I can say.
I'm like, I want to say exactly what's in this book, but do you know how the 5th edition Vampire the Masquerade Guide to the Camarilla got axed and then reprinted with a giant chapter missing for good reason? It's like that.
Alrighty.
You know, this just makes me wonder. We've been spitballing the idea for a while of having us do a D&D campaign. Oh, thank God he had rat away. The question is, which source books do we want to include in this?
Oh, gods. What I have, if anyone wants, my source books I wrote to run Vampire the Masquerade in D20 Modern or D&D 3.5.
Those could be fun. I have the I went on for a while and found like all the old source books I could, but I also found the Book of Vile Darkness and what was it?
the Book of Exalted Deeds.
I have that one, but also the 2 books that added sex and STDs to the D&D.
One of them is the Book of Erotic Fantasy, which was a third-party supplement, but what's the other one?
The other one was more based around fetishes and kink. I'd have to pull out my hard drive and find it.
Okay, so we're talking PDF copies.
Well, yeah, because I'm not going out and finding those things.
You have not seen me at conventions, sir. I have
No.
that would
It's not that
terrify
I
you.
wouldn't. It's
Fair.
not that I wouldn't go out and find them. It's that I'm a broke-ass bitch. I don't have the money to go out and find them.
Tell you what, I have some duplicates of certain things if you ever want.
That would
They
be fun.
cross my path once in a while. Like I have an extra copy of Spectres right now for Wraith the Oblivion.
Okay, let's see. I'm not going up against the Legion with just brass knuckles. I'm not that dumb.
Oh, come on.
I keep
Look, I
thinking
already murdered
burning.
the entirety of Gamora with just brass knuckles. I don't need to go up against the Legion.
Yep, I kept thinking you meant the Burning Legion, and that just plays funny in my head.
How about Annabelle? You want to play with Annabelle? Have fun with my missile launcher.
But other things I could run. I have the source books that someone wrote for a Final Fantasy XIV 5th edition campaign. Something I almost did for my FC mates in FF14, but we just couldn't get the players together. Other things include Mutants and Masterminds 2nd edition, a version of 3.5 that is point buy.
You know, honestly, as I play these games, I don't know if I like point buy or just I can't remember what you call the other system right now.
Experience levels?
Yeah, EXP levels. I don't remember, or I don't know which one I like better, honestly.
I mean, I run games either way. I could run a Vampire the Masquerade or Requiem game or any other World of Darkness game. I don't have the latest source books for Shadowrun. Could probably do Savage Worlds 1st edition. But then setting isn't really the issue, or game system isn't really the issue. Like, if we pick one I haven't played with or am completely unfamiliar with, I could probably fix that. With one exception.
Only
We
one?
won't- I won't say the name of the RPG system, but it basically requires a calculator to play it. And I'm not talking about the Final Fantasy game rules adaptation. That thing was never given an official release anyway. No, there's another one with an acronym for a name that should never have been printed. If you know, you know.
Are we talking about that again? We've
I-
mentioned it a couple times on here.
That's probably my fault. But now, if we want crunch heavy, but we don't want to go that far, there's GURPS, there's Hero. Hero, this main source book, is big enough to bludgeon a small country to death with.
I think the biggest thing as far as me creating and running a campaign right now is that I would have to get source books that are all from the same edition. Because right now I have a mix of 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Well, for D&D, yeah, those 3 editions are so drastically different from each other. Hell, even 2nd would be drastically different from everything
Yeah.
else.
Well,
First,
it's like
second.
the monster manual is from, I want to say it's from 4.5. And then the player's guide is from 3. The extensions I have, which are Marshall or Might and Marshall, things like that, those are all from 3. And then I finally have another guide that's strictly from 5. And I was like, okay, these do not mesh at all.
See, as I've said before, the biggest conflict I could see is getting everybody together on a regular
Yeah, it's
basis.
and such.
We would probably have to aim, like, if we scheduled it for during the show, that's probably the best way to do it. Because I can tell you the rest of my week is booked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could have it to where, I mean, we've already come up with like a, once, maybe twice monthly game night. We could just have one game night every now and then just be part of the D&D campaign.
Yeah.
If a
Another
campaign,
option.
we might want to consider just one-shots.
Yeah, we could do that too.
I was gonna say, yeah, if we do one shots and just be like, okay, hey, or just be like, hey, for a month or two, we're gonna be running this, this game and stuff. But like I said, it's one of those. Again, it's one of those things, though. It's like, if somebody isn't here for a couple, 2-3 gaming sessions, that can make a huge difference in the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we would either have to. Could we all make it for 1 month continuously?
Well, right now, what I'm looking at it as far as that is, we have 4 regular crew members, but only 3 of us have been making regular appearances, and it's not a bad thing. So yeah, the thing is, if one of us manages to miss a couple sessions, like he said, that could make or break an entire campaign.
Wait, what about audience members who are constant?
That would be up to Ollamh.
I mean,
thoughts,
yeah, that it kind of depends on the individual and stuff like that. But I mean, I wouldn't be objectioned to that.
Okay.
It's just like I said, it's just one of those questions of Are we able to find somebody who's gonna mesh with the crew with everybody else and stuff like that? Yeah, it's just there's a lot of questions around it, but it's it's not like, oh, a hard no or anything like that. It's just, well, we just have to see what it
It's a lot of logistics that we need to work out.
Point taken.
But yeah, like I said, I'm definitely it's definitely not something that I am in any fashion against or would have a problem with. It's just
something we want to talk about.
Something to talk about and something that like I said, it's just finding people that can work together and all be here at the same time, because I mean, it's.
I just realized Shelby also answered her question. She says if she were to place a Fallout game in Africa, she would probably go for Zimbabwe because it's very diverse wildlife, landlocked, and has safari areas.
And now that you mention it, Zimbabwe's inflation struggles could make an interesting background story on their own. The economy is in shambles all the time.
I was about to say, right now, I mean, yeah, that would kind of make sense, because we were joking about, like, the Chernobyl people being like, oh, there's radiation? And, okay, what else is new? Zimbabwe would be like, oh, the world's shit? What else is new?
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, we're kind of used to all this. Yeah.
Actually, that would be the best, because, these games like to poke fun at capitalism and the culture in America. That would be the best way to get back at it. Because that you'd have all the current superpowers be like, oh god, the economy is ruined, our country's in shambles, the people are sick, we're all dying. All the third world countries are like, okay.
Yep. That
is it.
Now that you've mentioned, Zimbabwe's going to look at the bottle cap currency thing and go, holy shit, did you just fix our economy?
Oh no, the entire world is a barren wasteland, a desert. Everybody in the Middle East is like, yeah, always has been.
See, I can't help but think that, like, some of these places would, they'd look at the bottle cap economy and stuff like that and be like, okay, bottle caps. It's like, but there's so much better uses for that.
Yeah,
like-
it's just like, oh, we have no metal. You have all these bottle caps lying around.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, we need to make weapons, but we have no metal to make weapons. It's like, you've got. It's like, guys, you have all this steel. Just you're passing it back and forth. Use that.
Bro, I am a king. How have I not impressed the king when I'm part of his gang? Also, that's an interesting staple. We didn't bring this up back with our trope podcast a couple months ago, but why is it in every post-apocalyptic situation, every gang takes on a theme and it's always ridiculous?
Yeah, that's
You mean like? Go ahead.
Well, I think it's kind of the idea of they don't know what it was. Like with the Kings. They found this they found this school to on how to be Elvis for Elvis impersonators. And they have no idea what it was, who Elvis is or anything like that. They're just like, okay, yeah, this must be, this was somebody who was obviously
important.
Yeah, must have been important. So yeah, we're gonna basically almost kind of like build a religion around it.
But then again, I suppose, the kings aren't as bad.
True.
And Gamers is here.
Hello,
You're saying,
gamers.
shit, we gotta let him in now.
Yeah,
Damn it, we were just talking about how he's never here.
I've been busy in the last couple of weeks. I
Oh,
apologize for that.
that's understandable.
Yeah.
No, I was talking more about the picture there with gamers outside.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Me-
hey!
I'm just cleaning the.
Technically,
the
we don't. I'm sure there's a radio in that body of this somewhere. The king says you do good work. Here, have this highly radioactive steak. Thanks, jackass.
Not even peanut butter pancake bananas? Really?
So how have you guys been doing?
Been doing pretty good.
That's good.
We've been doing.
Well, at least you're doing. That's good.
Doing something.
Yes, I killed the rat. Go, eat my starving orphans.
So is
How to
that Pirates?
fix theater.
Is that Pirates of the Geek Vortex mug going to be a part of the the gift shop?
We should totally make that part of the merch store.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's I have plans on doing that. I want to come up with something other than just like the plain text on it. I just don't know what to do.
Well, we can always play around with the logo a little bit.
I'm thinking maybe when I have like the actual like general ship done, the exterior of the ship, maybe like put that on the other side so you have Pirates of the Geek Vortex and then just the ship there.
That could work.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I think it would look better black instead of a white mug, though.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
because because it's a light blue text, so on a white mug, it's just kind of blinding.
Also give the idea of, being in space.
Yeah.
Also, I'm proud to admit that although I got that text-to-speech software, luckily I have held off on making anything too stupid from it. Like that thing I sent you, I like made that, and I was like, okay, I need to put this away before I start getting in trouble.
There's some AI thing that's been kicking around and allows you to, like, I guess, write text, and then you just get a voice sample. I can't remember the name of the program, or website. My friend showed it to me the other night, and basically you get a voice sample from anybody really, and it mimics that voice, and you type in what you want that voice to say. So people have been using it to get Biden to say stupid shit and stuff like that.
Yeah,
They just use Biden's voice sample, and then just have him say ridiculous things. It's just like, okay, this is interesting.
I've seen some companies using that in like the worst way imaginable.
Yeah.
This person said this. No, they clearly did not.
No,
Yeah.
I mean to the point of having the epic voice guy. They sampled his voice and they did a commercial with him with his voice, but he never recorded anything for him.
Well, that's a lawsuit
Yeah.
waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Well, it's the case as
God.
what was it we were talking about? That was it Disney's contract where like they own your likeness once you do work for them?
Yes. Yeah. Their
Yeah.
current. Yeah. They do a body scan of everybody in the production, and they say, okay, we can use this at any time for any reason.
Supposedly, I guarantee you, there's going to be more contracts like that where there's like, okay, well, you did some work for us, you did these lines, you did this, so we own all that now, which means we own the rights to your voice, your likeness, anything we want to say, we will.
Oh, Disney's been doing that already. The amount of stuff that James Earl Jones has actually done as far as Darth Vader in the more recent stuff is very minimal. It's mostly been this company called Respeecher. They did the same thing with Mark Hamill in the book Boba Fett. He didn't record anything. He didn't even do he didn't record anything. He wasn't there for motion capture or anything like that. They brought him in so that they could take publicity photos and basically kind of get the kind of sort of approval, the idea that he approved of everything without like actually having to have him sign off on it or anything like that. But yeah, it was his lines in that were all done by Respeecher and stuff like that, and it's just like, yeah, they're just it was Disney's contracts basically said, hey, we can use a younger version of you and we can use Respeecher to create lines for the character of Luke Skywalker without your say-so.
Well then. Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it was if anybody's seen BoJack Horseman, this should sound really familiar, because it was in that show he was playing Secretariat, and basically they're like, okay, we're doing a full body scan of you and getting voice samples and stuff. That way, if you die during production, we can finish the movie no problem. And he just like completely checked out and disappeared, and basically they finished the movie without him. And he's like, wait, how? And they're like, hey, you remember this? You remember when you signed this contract saying, yeah, you can use my likeness to finish the movie? Yeah, we did that.
Okay.
I don't know if they realized that they were predicting the future or not. But yeah, it's like that's legitimately what what Disney's been doing for a while now, apparently. I mean, at least with James Earl Jones, he has come out and said, "Yeah, I fully support what they're doing with, with what Reese Beecher is doing. I'm fully behind it. They have my blessing to do this." And it's like, well, that's nice. They didn't need your blessing, but it's nice.
What I find funny is I heard talks that Disney is possibly going to be releasing the Star Wars Christmas special on Blu-ray, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. I didn't much care for that movie.
I mean, it's horrible. George Lucas said if he had the time, he would go around and he would destroy every single copy in the world.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know that there are people that are going to be like, "Oh, they're releasing that? Yes, I have to have it. It's so horrible."
I'd probably be one of them. Probably, yeah. Just to subject my parents to it at Christmas time when I visit them.
I mean,
like, want to see the best Christmas movie ever made? Here, watch the Star Wars Christmas special. I guarantee by the end of it, you're gonna wish Christmas never existed.
Watch the creepy uncle.
God, the creepy uncle. Let's talk about the child.
No, the creepy uncle that watches porn on Life Day.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I was talking to my sister about that because she's the Star Wars fans of the family. I was like, so, does anybody realize that this brings up the odd conversation of, so is this still canon? Like, now that Disney owns it, does Chewbacca still have a family that he just abandons as he goes gallivanting around the galaxy?
Well, I mean, technically, it's the idea of, well, hey, he's, he has to serve that life debt.
Yeah, well, there's also the weirdness of the fact that, he was supposed to be more or less, a teenager by the time he got the life debt. And he's like maybe late 20s, early 30s by the time A New Hope runs around. So Christmas special would make him maybe mid-30s. When the hell did he get married?
Well, I don't know as far as his age goes, because it's like, I mean, he was old enough to fight in the Clone Wars. Yoda and R2 met him and know who he is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're talking like in our years, yeah, he would have been an adult, but like as far as Wookiees go, he was still basically a teenager.
Well, I mean, he was, like I said, he was old enough to fight in the Clone Wars, even by Wookiee standards. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, hey, we're using child soldiers.
I always felt that entire segment at Chewie's house with his family was way too long. It's like, I was like, half the movie was just them.
Yeah, it's like a day in the life of...
watching their porn and all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't give a shit about them. I don't care about, like, can we go back to the regular cast members? I don't need to see his grandmother knitting or whatever the hell.
Yeah, I mean, it was really just like a day in the life of a Wookiee of an average Wookiee family. It's like,
Harvey Gorman gave way too good of a performance in that movie, honestly.
I think everybody did. Wasn't Betty White on it too? Or,
no,
it wasn't. Not Betty White. B. Arthur, yeah.
B. Arthur was in, and she gave a damn good performance. The phoned-in performance, predictably, came from Hamill.
He didn't even I just saw something recently on Facebook actually where they showed a comparison between CGI Mark Hamill and one of the most recent. I can't remember if it was Obi-Wan or some show. A CGI Hamill. Maybe it might have been
Book
in
of Boba Fett. It was the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Was his
but a CGI'd Hamill, and they compared it to the Hamill that was in the Christmas Story where he looked like a Ken doll. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, dude just had facial reconstructive surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't he in a car accident or something?
Yeah, he was in a really, really bad car accident. And had to have full facial reconstructive surgery. That's why it's like, yeah, he doesn't look like himself because, well, yeah, he's... And I'm not entirely sure how much that put forward to his performance.
So, as far as I know, the only thing they did for that was that's the entire reason him getting captured on Hoth exists.
Yeah, basically kind of like, oh, well, we have to explain why he looks different. So, yeah, he was caught by this Wampa and, like, really roughed up and...
Technically, they didn't even need to do, because, we have the whole story, like, maybe Luke was getting close to the dark side, maybe he was dabbling in it, and the dark side's supposed to be changing you. Could have just been like, oh, yeah, it's giving him some very slight facial scars.
Well, at that point, I don't know if they could have done that at that point, though, because, I mean, he wasn't even really aware of much of the Force at that point.
Yeah, that was one thing I always was a little iffy about as far as the original trilogy, is that, like, between movies, he just suddenly learns a hell of a lot about the Force. You're like, when? Did you have time?
When he was hanging upside down in the ice cave. Well, he just found a book. He found a book in there, The Ways of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me as far as, like, when people are like, oh, like in when Leia starts, when everybody, they're like, oh, this new trilogy, they keep coming up with brand new Force powers that we've never seen before. It's like, they did that in every single, in every single movie.
Yeah. Like, the only thing that bothered me about Leia using the Force in the newest trilogy was, her holding her breath in space and being able to force pull herself to a spaceship. I was like, okay, when did that pop up in the training regimen?
I mean, that one didn't bother me. That one did not bother me at all, because it's like, think of being in the same type situation, but instead of a force pull, you're pulling on a rope. You have a massive ship, and you're pulling this rope.
Force pull that bothers me.
But there's no leverage. There's no leverage.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yoda lifting the X-wing out. He's on the ground. There's leverage. There's a pivot point. There is no pivot point in space.
But there's no resistance either.
True, but again, it's mass. It's all about mass.
Do you guys remember the Force Unleashed DLC where you played as Starkiller fighting a fully Jedi'd Leia? Where she, like, had a lightsaber and everything, and she had, like, Force powers and everything. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It was different.
I think just what bothers me is, like I said, that's an incredibly specific scenario. When did Luke ever stop and was like, hey, Leia, one day you might be out in the middle of space, you're not going to be able to breathe, and I'm going to teach you how to rescue yourself from that very specific situation.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think it's that unusual as far as, like I said, with the force pull. It's literally just a matter of mass.
Yeah, well, like
The
I said, it's
ship
not the
is so
power
much-
that bothers me. It's just, why was she trained for that incredibly specific of a situation?
Well, she wasn't trained for that incredibly specific situation. Luke taught her how to use force pull.
I mean, she was probably thinking, pull ship to me? Oh, I wound up pulling myself a ship. Good enough. Let me in!
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, there's a massive ship. I am free floating in space. One of two things is going to happen. Either the ship's going to move or I'm going to move, but either way, that pull is going to pull one of us to the other.
See, this is the part where we would normally be like, so what was your most bullshit part of the movies? But all of us are fans, and we know better to ask that.
My problem with that particular movie was you were telling 3 stories and you're only telling one of them well.
Yeah.
They told one well? Which one did they tell well?
Honestly, Ray's was decent, at least.
No, it really wasn't.
I
Not in my
kinda liked.
And the second one.
Well, let's look at our other 2. I guarantee you, those will make Ray's story look infinitely better.
Better, yes, but is it good on its own merits?
No.
It could have been if they'd fleshed things out a bit.
It could have been, which means it wasn't. On
I
its
like
own
it better than
merits.
the other 2.
Yeah, well, okay, that's perfectly fair. In comparison, yeah, it's the best of the 3, but it doesn't make it necessarily a good story and a story told well.
I think one of the biggest issues is A, they left Ray's backstory so vague so that you could just be like, aha, I can make this anybody I want. And then B, they put it up against Kylo, who, although the villain, has the more interesting and better told story. I mean, I would have loved to just see an entire movie about Ben Solo. And then they obviously wanted to make the Skywalker thing a twist and be like, haha, she's secretly a Skywalker, only to realize, well, Leia obviously didn't have children. Luke's in exile, so how would she get away with not knowing who Luke was? So like, well, we can't make her a Skywalker without that being obvious and horrible, so we'll make her a Palpatine. That'll work, right?
Well, that's the problem. Is in the second one, they were trying to erase that. They were trying to erase her having, her the whole thing of her parents. Because remember, that was the one that was the one where they moved away from J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, your parents, they were nobody. They were nothing.
I mean,
It wasn't
weird
until
that
it wasn't until the third one that they were like, oh no, it was actually Palpatine all along.
I just don't. The first movie was like it was nothing groundbreaking, but it was okay. Second movie, I get you want to break expectations, but you have to be entertaining at the same time. Third movie played it so safe it was ridiculously boring paint by numbers.
And that's how I felt about the first movie. I was like, I could name practically every twist in this movie just because it's more or less a rehashing of the original.
I mean, the Last Jedi was just the Empire Strikes Back with a fresh coat of paint.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, okay, the rebellion is out in space being chased by the Empire. Gee, we saw that with the Millennium Falcon in the asteroid belt. That's where they spent most of the movie, was in the asteroid belt.
Yep.
Being chased by the Empire. You have them finally escape, you have some of them escaping to a well-to-do planet that is, that's prosperous even under the threat of the evil group. the person they go there to find winds up betraying them. It's like, and your main hero, your main force-using hero, goes off and trains with some recluse that has abandoned the rest of the universe.
Don't forget their crisis of faith.
Yeah, the dark side cave. They didn't even really change it from being a cave. It was literally just Empire Strikes Back, but it was done in such a different way that most people are like, oh, see, now they're breaking out, they're breaking away from the previous stuff. It's like, it's literally the second movie all over again. But they changed just enough that you're like that you kind of gloss over that. You forget the fact that it's just empires all over again. That's every time somebody talks to me about that, and they're like, "Oh, but the second one was so much better because they didn't try and remake the original." It's like, yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did. It was just beat for beat. It is what it was. Like, we open up on Jakku, I'm like, this obviously isn't just Tatooine retread.
Yeah.
And the second one, like, well, I don't want to follow in the footsteps of my mysterious parents that I don't know, and I have this mysterious bond with the villain. Oh, okay.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just
like I said, I would rather have seen an entire movie about Ben turning into Kylo.
Yeah.
But agreed. Then if we were going to add Ben Solo, I would have loved to have just had that entire expanded universe series. I would have loved to have Ben and Jason and all of them, and then we could have had the proper Solo turn into a Sith.
And then we could have also, turned the entire second movie into a part of a series. Because I'm sorry, did that whole thing play out like episodes of a TV show to anyone else?
It did.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
But also, if we had done the expanded universe properly, my sister would have been so much happier because she is a huge Mara Jade fan. And I really wanted to see Mara pop up. The moment I heard Ben Solo, I was like, oh, great. Let's just have Mara just like up here and explain that she knows where Luke is. And they're like, nope, she's not in this.
Yeah. Oh, Shelby, it's a love story.
A love story full of Stockholm Syndrome and Munchausen by proxy. Damn, you guys are really everywhere. For a group that's supposed to be in Colorado, you really do show up here a lot, don't you?
Yeah, I will agree. Seeing Anakin show up and be like, and talking with Ben and being like, no, trust me, no, you're fucking up, kid. You're worshiping my helmet from my dark period. That's not good.
Honestly, even if they had just done it with Luke, that would have been a hilarious conversation to have. It's like Obi-Wan appears. It's like, Luke, do not do this. No, I'm training him correctly. Anakin appears. You should really listen to him. The last time he fucked up like you're fucking up right now. That's how Ben trained me, and look how I turned out.
I'm sorry. You know what would have been a really nice twist as far as whose Rey's parents would have been.
What?
Having her father be Han Solo.
That would have at least explained the entirety of the piloting thing.
The piloting, her connection with the Falcon, the whole 9 yards, just like, oh yeah.
Somehow being and Chewie for absolutely no fucking reason.
Yeah, it's like, hey, Han Solo was a scoundrel. He probably slept around a lot.
Which, okay, that is what irritates the shit out of me. she's the Palpatine. That's why she can bring balance to the Force, because she managed to turn a Skywalker from the dark side to the light, whereas all the Skywalkers turn people from the light to the dark. I'm like, yeah, that don't make any fucking sense, but sure, whatever, you do you. But then they're always like, oh, the piloting and Chewie and all this is like, okay, what does any of that have to do with her being anybody's blood?
Yeah. I mean, that's okay. So their whole thing of, oh well, you know, she's helping bring balance to the Force. It's like, but the Force was already exacting the balance. She wasn't bringing balance to the Force. She was the balance. That's why her powers grew with Kylo Ren's powers. Was because the Force was in balance after Anakin. After Anakin wiped out the Jedi, it's like, okay, everything's in balance. We've got two good, two bad. Oh, hey, we have somebody being trained in the ways of the Force on the good side, so we have to kill one of the good people. Oh, there's a second one that's starting to touch their Force powers. Well, now Yoda's got to die.
Yeah.
It's like,
which never makes sense. Like, when you had the original trilogy, it made somewhat sense. The Force is out of balance because you have Obi-Wan is the last surviving Jedi. Luke's just coming into his powers, so he can't balance the Force. And then you've got Palpatine and Vader, but at that point we didn't know Palpatine could use the Force. So we figured he was just like a dictator. So you had 1 and 1. And then, you know, Obi-Wan dies and you've got 2 on 1. You're like, oh, well, do we get a second Jedi?
I still just the whole prequel trilogy of, oh, he's the one that'll bring balance to the Force. It's like nobody stopped and thought, wait a sec, wait, how is it out of balance?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there's thousands of Jedi and 2 Sith.
All of the Jedi are like, the Sith is gone. We all have the Jedi. But the Force needs to be balanced. It's like, and where did you think that scale was tipped?
Well, I mean, looking over the history of both, the rule of 2 has only been in effect 1,000 years at the time of the Battle of Yavin. So, yeah, you've got 1,000 years extra worth of Jedi.
Also, I still love that there are canon Sith that teach their apprentices by first teaching them the rule of 2. And then they still act surprised that their apprentices killed them.
Yeah.
I was like, you led with that. What did you expect?
I don't
and
know.
then we had now that.
That's actually a good an interesting question. I mean, you know, the rule of 2 was that ever actually introduced into the modern day trilogy as being canon?
I don't remember any reference to it.
Because everybody talks about it like it's, oh, well, this is a definite thing. It's like, but that's all technically in the extras.
Shelby, somehow that doesn't surprise me. And no, yeah, it's an expanded universe thing, but that's what I'm saying is, if we're going to slowly bring the expanded universe in, and we all know that, like, oh, there's, you know, the rule of 2. Well, actually, technically, we did get an introduction to the rule of 2 by Yoda in the prequels. They just didn't explain the rule of 2.
Yeah.
Like, we got always 2, but they didn't explain why there's always 2.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of.
Yeah, it was just, oh, there's always 2. And it's like, okay, but it's not like, oh, well, they have a rule that there's always 2. It's just no. There's always two. So which one did we kill?
Yeah. Which is also, it just makes the other part of the prequels confusing. Because then they like find Dooku and they're like, okay, well, we knew that there was a master around and obviously he would have taken an apprentice. So we're still looking for him. But then once you get rid of Dooku, and you know he's going to be looking for another apprentice, you know one of yours is getting dangerously close to the dark side. Why would you have put more security around Anakin?
I mean, at that point, they didn't. I guess at that point you could make the argument that it was like, oh, hey, well, they knew that he was looking for a new apprentice, but they didn't know who he was.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, even if you didn't know who the master was at that point, like, if you knew he'd be looking for an extremely powerful, extremely useful apprentice, and that there's this whole prophecy about bringing balance, and you know Anakin's, like, your contender, I would be like, immediately, just been, nope, Anakin, you are out of the game. You are on the sidelines.
Yeah, I agree, Shelby. They were just stupid when it came to Anakin from the beginning. I mean,
That's what the prequels established to me, is that the Jedi were not really the good guys. They just have incredibly poor decision skills.
Yeah. Well, they were they the good guys? That's kind of questionable. Their judgment was just absolutely garbage. And, they were generally very, very stupid. They were very stupid.
I mean, not to mention, they show you how bad their security is. Like, oh, they deleted an entire planet from the archives? That didn't strike anybody as odd.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's like, why can any of you just erase this, erase a planet from your charts? That is not something that any one person should be able to do.
Especially since they don't even establish that Dooku was ever on the council.
I think a lot of it just came down to some lazy writing at the time.
That's what most of Star Wars boils down to, honestly, is just lazy writing.
There is good writing in Star Wars. I think Mandalorian has definitely proven that. We all have fond thoughts of the original trilogy, and hell, KOTOR has some amazing writing going for it. KOTOR 2, and so forth.
And I haven't kept up with the EU, but from what I hear, the Thrawn trilogy is getting great.
The Thrawn books were amazing. They were very, very well done. And I'm glad to see that they're bringing Thrawn into the official stuff, and they're keeping him as this complete and utter badass.
I think that's what the movies have been missing for a long time, is that there was never a threat that felt like not palpable. What is the word I want?
Significant?
Yeah, like it never felt like it was actually that imminent. Whereas Thrawn is just, no, he's here, this is happening, you need to deal with this.
Yeah. Well, that, and it's one of those, I mean, if you look at what are the main threats? An army led by somebody who can use the Force when that is an extremely rare ability. Okay, we've seen that. We've seen that we've seen that in in everything. It's like, but with Thrawn, it's like he's not able to use the Force. He is just a brilliant tactician. He can look at somebody's art and understand their mentality through their art, and just and that's how he works. That's how his brilliance works.
There's something else they need to bring from the EU into the current Star Wars universe.
What is that?
We need the Yuuzhan Vaughn. We need a threat that is not the Sith, or
Honestly,
a Sith offshoot, or a
We need to
Palpatine plot.
a lot from the EU back into the mainstream and just make it canon.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what they're doing. I think that's what they're slowly
Yeah.
working towards.
Well, like they brought in the Darksaber. Good on them for that. Technically, in the new trilogy, we saw the lightsaber resistant materials. Okay, cool. We can work with that. But there's just so much more interesting crap in the EUs that I would love to see used. And again, if we're not going to bring in some of the other characters, like the other Solo children.
Yeah.
One thing we can do without, though, is Space Jesus Luke.
I'll agree with that.
Well,
You want to bring in someone, Luke? Okay, fine. Do not give me Space Jesus Luke. I don't need it.
Yeah, I think we have officially like sidestepped that. I don't see how they could bring that version of Luke in and really do anything with it.
This is part of what I did like about the second movie was, I know Mark Hamill didn't like it. I liked the Luke he was portraying, though. Because he just seems so human. Right up to the point where he's about to burn the books, and he suddenly turns around, says, "No, I can't do it." Yoda does it for him, and Luke says, "You've destroyed the texts!" "Oh, did you ever read them?" "I was going to."
The sacred texts? You mean the ones that said, hey, stop getting attached to shit?
Yeah.
Yep. And I wouldn't have minded seeing... There's one thing I once theorized in character as one of my Sith I was playing. Because of course I did. But I gave my Sith a fear of the idea of a Jedi taken to the extreme. Far extreme. All completely emotionally detached. Worse than a Vulcan. And then
Well, that's just a mass murderer.
and then shuddered in front of a Jedi as I described it. And I said, and your fear of us is probably just like some sort of ultimate edgelord, I said to said Jedi. Jedi had to agree. Which is more terrifying? I'm
That's
not
something
saying,
you can keep in the EU, though, is the dark and gray Jedis.
yeah, I'm not sure I would want to see the Revenites necessarily.
I mean, well, that's one of those things though with the Revenites and stuff like that. That you probably will see those, but not like in the modern day. That's the type of stuff that you're probably going to see in the high what is it, the High Republic that's coming out. Basically, it's it's I would not mind seeing the Revenites, the Gray Jedi, which again I gotta say that is the worst fucking name for it, because it's like they're not Gray Jedi, they're Gray Force users. Simply by calling them Jedi, you are aligning them with the quote unquote good guys.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's what we need to clarify again, is that now we have Sith as a species, but also as the quote-unquote evil people, and then we have the Jedi are good, but they don't have a species, but they do have the Gray Jedi. which are kind of like evil Jedi. But then we have the dark Jedi, who are really evil Jedi.
I think what we're eventually going to see kind of taking the place of the Gray Jedi are people like Ahsoka. She was a Jedi. She turned her, the Jedi turned their back on her, and she's like, fine, fuck you. I'm making my own way. I'm not going evil, but I'm not adhering to the bullshit that you guys are teaching.
Yeah, I keep seeing all this like Sith Ashoka. I was like, I don't recall her ever fully turning.
No, she never did. She's not a Sith. She is literally just a gray Force user.
Which honestly, maybe that speaks to her character, but honestly, I think that's hilarious that Anakin's apprentice turned out better than Anakin did.
Okay, so Shelby, your comment of Ahsoka could show up. Can you imagine her and Ben chatting? Anakin, oh, that punk. Actually, she has shown up in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. She actually showed up on the training planet with Din Djarin. Yeah, and she's also getting her own series coming soon.
I agree. That would be a hell of a conversation, though. You get like pre-sacrifice Kylo, and he's like, Vader, Anakin Skywalker. She's like, that little son of a bitch? That's who you worship? Let me tell you about Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. But yeah, it was. They were still kind of like, oh, hey, we don't really know what to do with this and that. No. Yeah.
Ow. Ugh, I hate Deathclaws.
Come on, they're just cute big lizards.
You know what? I understand that they want to hug. However, their hugs tend to leave me dead.
You just can't handle their love. That's not on them. That's your failing.
No, it's the Brotherhood of Steel's failing, because I could really use that power armor training right about now.
Pansy.
I'm running around in combat armor. Actually, that's how I realized that I'm putting too much RPG logic into this. Because I started choosing which armor I was going to use based on if it was light or heavy. I was like, wait, why the hell do I care? Are Boone and Rex still not here? It's been 4 days.
They got lost.
You're not on the world map, so I know that you're not in the world technically.
They got lost. They met up. They got lost. Rex had to eat Boom.
And he's working off that extra weight. Oh, look, there you are. Oh, right, because I haven't dismissed fucking Raoul yet.
Shelby says, it was a tragic thing. One not able to accept affection, the other unaliving their would-be friends. That sounds about right. I love the I love the backstory of the Death Claw, because they're actually like they're actually mutated versions of a specific type of chameleon.
Wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
if you look at a picture, I'm trying to remember what type of chameleon it is. I think it's like a Jackson chameleon.
Oh, I did have the beer to make this stuff. It's just it was on Boone.
Yeah, if you look at the Jackson's chameleon, you can see the horns, everything like that. Yeah, they actually came out and said it that yes, that is the origins of the death clause.
Okay, now for my usual routine. Overload myself. Repair everything that I can repair. And then put everybody up with the proper equipment. Do I need a 10mm submachine gun? Not really.
But yeah, I think the Star Wars stuff is a whole lot better now that they've moved away from the Skywalkers.
Agreed.
I mean, honestly, they were just nothing but a family that fucked up everything they touched. So yeah,
Pretty much, yeah.
I've said it a lot. Like, if you know you're in a Star Wars setting and you hear the name Skywalker, just run.
Yeah. Did we board gamers yet?
Yeah, I haven't
All
heard from
kind
him
of
in a while.
tired today.
Oh, I'm still here. I'm just multitasking.
Ah.
Just didn't have anything to contribute to the current conversation. But yeah, does anybody really still use Twitter anymore?
I use it to advertise my radio show. That's about it.
Okay.
I was gonna say,
It's like-
yeah, as an advertisement, pretty much. That's
Not saying what I use my Twitter for.
Okay. Sure. I think we figured that one out.
I could say art appreciation, but that's putting it a little too mildly.
Yeah. I haven't been on Twitter in a long time. I was banned from it a while back.
you managed to get yourself a ban.
Yeah, I said some choice phrases to Donald Trump, and Twitter wasn't too happy that I did. This is going back, like, I think this was like the first year that Trump was president.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't get a, well, no, okay. I was about to say I'm surprised you didn't get a pardon from Elon, but you know. No, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, like, didn't Trump like get a pardon as well? But he turned down returning to Twitter.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I have my own canvas. It's fine.
Well, it makes there's actually legal reasons why he did that. He actually it's actually part they actually made it part of his essentially his agreement with his own platform that any message that he sends out has to go through Truth Social first and it has to be on Truth Social for so many hours before it can go anywhere else. So they're like, yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, if he took the pardon and was like, yes, I will return, Maha, and yeah, there's no way he would have been able to maintain that agreement.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't know about Elon Musk building a town. That's interesting to say the least.
Yeah. Well, building, buying.
Oh Jesus, that was a hell of a.
Nothing he does really surprises me anymore. It's like I don't know. I feel like he's one of those guys who doesn't think before doing things.
You could have just stopped at doesn't think.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Was like, yeah, he's one of those guys who doesn't think. Period. He doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, look at one of his latest kerfuffles. When he was like, oh yeah, he's like completely just railing on this guy, on this employee. And I guarantee you, he did not know, he didn't realize that this person had an agreement that, he had sold his company to Twitter back before Elon bought it. And actually had a contract with Twitter, that says if he is fired, Twitter has to pay him $100,000 separation fee.
Yeah.
And Elon's like, oh no, this guy's fired. He's the worst and blah, blah, blah. Oh, he says he's got this disability, but he's still tweeting. It supposedly prevents him from typing. It's like, yeah, he does. And yeah, it's a real thing there, asshole. And I guarantee you somebody from HR got into contact with it and said, by the way, looked up this individual in our system, and yeah, if we fire him, we have to pay him $100,000. And all of a sudden, there's this big apology. No, he's totally not fired. He still works for us. And no. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. No problems here.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I kind of figured out that you put yourself in up shit's creek, didn't you?
I'm giving you a hunting rifle because I hate doing math. I'm tired of looking at these shotgun rounds. This shotgun does 4.8 times 85 damage. All right, yeah, I'm not doing math.
I really hate that about most modern games these days. It's like the amount of like, okay, so it does this much damage times this, and it's like, just tell me, does it do more damage than my current weapon? Just tell me that, and I'm good.
Right? That's all I need.
It's like, oh hey, it does this much damage, does this much extra damage if you have this special little whatever. It's like, I want to shoot somebody and they die. That's it. Is it really that difficult?
I want to know that if this gun does 1,000 damage, does this gun that shoots twice the bullets, does it do twice the damage? 4.5 times 30. All right, you know what? I'm just never using this gun. That's the one thing that irritates me about Borderlands is not just the shotguns doing this amount of damage per pellet and this is how many pellets, because the math is already irritating. But then you've got the legendaries with the flavor text, and you have to figure out what that shit does because it doesn't tell you.
Yeah. or the specialty guns are like, hey, this does this kind of damage, so it'd be really good against these people, but not so good against those people. It's like,
Yeah.
So Shelby's helping out. 4.5 times 30 equals 135.
Okay. It'd be really great if I could give them all this Brotherhood armor that I've been scavenging, but I can't.
Oh, no. Sell it back to the Brotherhood.
Well, I'm keeping it for myself at this point. Now I have the tough choice. Do I put him in a spacesuit, or do I dress him as part of the Legion and hope that Boone doesn't kill him in his sleep? I'll give him the Ranger armor. And that way the Legion will kill him.
Who are you giving that armor to?
Bro,
Wow.
he's already a ghoul. I don't gotta worry about it. And he's voiced by Danny Trejo. So maybe I should give him a machete as well.
Nicely put.
The number of people that are just like,
Oh, he won't wear the NCR armor. Oh, okay.
the number of people that I have seen talking about New Vegas that are just, oh my God, so many people have the strongest thirst for Raoul. Like, oh my God.
I mean, what? You won't wear the Legion armor. Will you wear armor? You talk about my dizzying mercantile sense one more time, I will fucking shove this Buster sword up your ass.
Hey, now,
You know what? Here, I'm gonna put sexy sleepwear.
Don't reward bad behavior.
He literally, like, the only thing I've given him so far that he'll wear is the metal armor. Unfortunately, I gave that to Boone. Fine. We're putting you in the spacesuit. I play this game way too much like I play Skyrim. I think that's what it is.
Save that for Fallout 4.
You know what? I blame you.
Me?
I asked you, should I play Fallout 4 or New Vegas? You said New Vegas.
I did not say New Vegas. I gave you an explanation of the differences between the two. You decided on New Vegas. I never tell somebody, hey, you should play this game. I say, well, this game features this and this and this and this. I told you that it was by the original makers of the Fallout games. That it ran on the Fallout 3 engine, but allowed you to aim down the iron sights.
Which honestly has done very little good, but, it's a nice feature.
I mean, it does do good as far as increasing your likelihood to hit.
I mean, it would if I used guns that actually had anything worth a damn when it came to accuracy. Unfortunately, I tend to main energy weapons.
Well, there's your problem.
I can't help it that I like the energy weapons over the ballistics, except for Maria. Maria has become my favorite sidearm so far.
I mean, I've always wondered with the Fallout series. It's like, okay, so energy weapons. Who is making the power cells? Who's making the power cells for these energy weapons?
I mean, they have a whole side quest in New Vegas where they ask who's refilling the Sunset Sarsaparilla machines, and you're wondering about power cells?
Well, yeah, because power cells are a whole lot more difficult to make than a soft drink.
Everybody at the Sunset Sarsaparilla factory is dead.
Okay, but my
But
point
yeah,
is,
Power cells are a mystery.
without any technology, you can make soft drinks. You can't make a microfusion cell with just like what you're gonna find in New Vegas.
I mean, apparently you can. It's even a player perk.
And that's just it's just one of those things where it's like, where are you getting the material for all of this shit? It's like you find people that are like, oh yeah, I've got some fusion cells here, microfusion cells, here you go. It's like, I'll sell them to you. It's like, where'd you get them? Realistically, it should be a very finite resource.
Well, I mean, at the same time, again, half of their NPC dialogue doesn't make sense because, like, you get who was it? Easy Jake in Good Springs. And he's like, yeah, I made a hell of a living doing prospecting, which was really just salvaging from houses. It's like, how? Because I'm salvaging from houses, and this shit sells for like a cap.
See, he's already hit. That's the thing. He's already hit the good shit.
He's just following you, and anytime he sees something, he's like, nope, take that before he notices.
See, he made a good living doing this, but you know, you're just not going to because, you know, like I said, he's already hit all the good places. You can't find. You're finding nothing but shit in all these houses because, yeah, all the good shit's gone. It's gone and been sold.
I have so many magazines. I never even use these damn things.
I'm trying to remember if that was when they changed the books and stuff from just adding these perks to no, it's temporary.
There's some that add permanent perks, but most of the magazines are temporary.
Yeah, and that's another change that it's like that doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, so I'm gonna read this book that teaches me how to lockpick better. Okay, cool. 5 minutes later. Shit, what was that article about? Like, my memory's not the best these days, but still, it's like I'm not that bad.
If I'm smart enough to learn it from a book, I should be smart enough to remember it. Okay, so Boone's here. Where the hell is the dog? Did he go straight to the king?
That's a good likelihood.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing with the ham radios. I activate every ham radio I come across, but it hasn't played into anything yet.
I don't think a lot of the ham radios really do anything. I think it was Fallout 3, I know, had some where, you know, you'd pick up a mysterious signal, you'd follow that signal, find the source, and if you activated the ham radio, basically it just turned it off. I don't think the ham radios actually do anything as far as...
So there is currently an official Fallout tabletop RPG.
That would be fun to try and play.
Oh, God.
You know, we've been talking about D&D. Why don't we just do the Fallout game then?
You know, I mean...
It's a thought.
It's a thought. It would be interesting. I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I would feel about, like, you know, traversing the wasteland with
us.
I wasn't gonna put it that way. I was trying to figure out a better way of putting it, but yes.
Well, I'll make you a counter offer. Would you rather traverse the wastelands with us or traverse the wastelands against us?
If I had to choose, it's
Specifically, let's narrow this down, because we'll put it this way: you and Ras have been friends for a long time. You two would probably end up with each other anyways. But knowing me the way you do and how I run groups and attract people, do you really want to go up against me in a wasteland where I have to fight to survive?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Just because that'd be fun.
Well, one, it would be fun. Two, we'd probably hear you coming a mile away because you'd be bickering amongst each other. It's
but see, that's
very difficult to sneak up on somebody when you're bickering.
You see the ones that are idiots coming, which, that's the cannon fodder. The main wave, the ones that I actually trust, you will never see coming. Because you're too busy listening to the idiots.
See, the other thing I could run, if I really, really want to do something evil, and there's any number of rule sets I can use to do it, would be a 40k one-shot.
Yeah, I was about to say, if I had to compare it to anything, I'd probably compare it to the orcs. That's how the group would run. Loud, noisy, but also we destroy entire planets.
Like I said, I think I would probably be like, I think we'd probably be all right.
I think that's the best part of you and I as far as friendships go, is that we know we work together well, but we always want to see what happens when we put each other against each other. It's that worthy opponent shit.
Kind of, yeah.
Also, that is the biggest difference between you and I creating groups. You create groups of well-managed people. Like, you know exactly who can do what and all that. And I do that to a point. But then at some point, after around, 10, 20 people, I just start adding meat to the pile. It's like, you were once.
I was gonna say, I try and find people that are, that are going to further a specific goal. You kind of, I don't know. You kind of seem to gather people on the basis of, okay, what can you do for me? Are you psychotic? Yes, you're in.
There's a main group, which is the trusted people. They're the ones I know can get shit done. Then there's the what can you do for us? Those are the ones with skills. So our merchants, our, if we want to use the specific context we met, our potion brewers, our shamans and shit like that. And then everybody else is just cannon fodder. The farther you are from the leader, the less likely it is that you'll survive.
That's fair.
Which again, considering the conversation, how we met was in fact, how can we kill everyone in this tavern in the most fun way without leaving any evidence, is very telling. Hey, there you are, Rex. Rex, where the hell are you going? You're just now getting to the casino? You gathers psychotics, chaotic, and obsessives, a handful of useful and cannon fodder in that order. You would think, Shelby, but no. Actually, so that group, Ollamh, has found a new place to play, and unfortunately, history is repeating itself. We came in, set up roots, and now everybody and their mother wants to join. So what actually happens is that I find one person who knows the land, is usually pretty well versed in who's who and who's in control, and then I manipulate them into joining. They eventually betray me. I get rid of them, and then we replace them with someone better.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what's worse, the fact that I know that that's the pattern, or the fact that I recognize that that's a pattern.
That's actually a very good point, Shelby. Somebody says, "Oh, I didn't mean when you plan it. I mean you attract that."
Oh yes, I absolutely attract that. Which leads the question, in these campaigns, if we're doing separate parties, what the hell would mine look like?
That's a good question. I don't know. Separate parties would be very difficult to pull off.
A headache for me as a DM if we did that.
That would. I was gonna say, yeah, that would be a headache for. Yeah.
Maybe not parties, but separate factions. But yeah, that would be hell.
I mean, I have horrible ideas, I assure you.
I have a feeling that that's going to become a thing too. Is if you and I are we're the opponents as far as leading factions, Wrestling and I are going to be the worthy opponents as far as DMing.
Yeah.
Although, if anything, these groups that I've led have given credence to the fact that I have often said I should lead a cult.
Funny you should say that. Ever told you the most terrifying thing I've ever written for a D&D game?
No, but that sounds amazing.
I reworked the Monophysite heresy to work in the modern day. How familiar are you with this particular group?
I'm not, but this is going to be good.
I need to take a real quick break, so I'll be right back.
Alright, I will hold on that till then.
Oh no, you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, the Monophysite heresy, or just the Monophysite faction during the early days of Christianity, basically has separate ideas on the hypostasis. Now, the hypostasis is the divine nature of Christ. Now, bear with me here. Christ dies on the cross in traditional Christian religion. How does he get brought back?
He resurrects by the power of God.
Okay, how does that work? Yes, this became a major question in the early days.
Are you actually asking?
If you had to apply some sort of metaphysics to it, what would you say happens?
Well, he was already blessed by a divinity. In fact, he was the divinity given flesh, so it wouldn't be that hard for the creator to recreate his own mortal shell.
Depends on how you view it, because some people do not see him as the creator himself, but an avatar or a literal son, etc. And this comes into question a lot in the early days. What we know nowadays as the Catholic Church won the debates and pretty much decided church canon way back when. But they had a powerful rival in the Monophysites, would still go on for a few centuries, and in fact would have a heavy influence on the Byzantium Empire, or East Roman Empire as we might see it now.
Mm-hmm.
But what would become the Catholics said, look, Christ was obviously half human, half divine. Mortal half died, divine half had to resurrect the mortal half.
Makes sense so far.
The Monophysite said, no, entirely divine, just resurrected itself.
Uh-huh.
Now, during the debate, that last one just didn't ring true for enough people, and so Catholics won the debate. Now, there were other issues of doctrine between the two factions, but that was one of the big ones for everyone. So, I created a 5th generation Toreador vampire for my Vampire the Masquerade D20 Modern crossover, who was there at the Council of Nicaea, and said, well, obviously the second faction is correct. He took it a step further. He believed there was no resurrection. He believed that the God of Abraham died permanently on the cross, literally believing that it had sacrificed itself to open the gates of heaven for humans. He then believed that any attempt to say that God or Jesus was resurrected at that point was blasphemy, an insult to the final sacrifice of God. You see where this is going.
Yeah.
And
Especially since you already mentioned
yeah.
Crusade is already going through my head.
Shadow Crusade in its own way, but yes. And I did this before Vampire the Requiem was even a thing. So eat that, Lancia Sanctum. Oh, the things I was doing 20 years ago with my writings. And making D&D campaigns out of them.
Come to think of it, Jesus was a vampire would be a fun thing to run.
It would be a tricky thing to run.
It would. Especially since how do you explain, oh, he's moral and good and light and pure divinity, but he's still a fucking vampire.
Honestly, you could make a better idea if you want to do that. Let's assume we're going with a good alliance Jesus. He's a mummy.
Well, now
The only advantages.
here's a question. As far as this source of stuff, what is, what are the qualifications for a vampire? For example, I've seen some where it's like, yeah, there's the traditional, oh, well, vampires drink blood type of thing. But there's also, well, no, you are making a pact with the devil to devour something. It doesn't necessarily have to be blood. So Jesus could be a vampire who feeds on the pain and suffering of others.
Which brings us to is he a traditional vampire or is he a diabolique?
I could still make the case for a mummy because a mummy is usually one, not just undead, but also often infused with divine magic.
True.
2. Mummification can become a naturally occurring process because you will often find mummified corpses in certain areas, regions, depending on humidity and other factors.
This is the first time I've actually opened a stall in a bathroom in this game, and I actually been surprised that there was something in it. Anyways, back
that's wow. I wouldn't have thought that there would have been that many places that still had functioning sewers, but
Oh no, it was just like I've played so many shooters from like Duke Nukem and Doom and all that anytime I see a bathroom, I get twitchy, especially if it has closed stalls, because I'm like, I just know there's going to be an ambush. Well, this being New Vegas, yes, there was an ambush. Unfortunately, it being a Bethesda game, the giant mantis that was waiting in the stall was part of the door.
Shelby, I'd like to answer your question.
That is a good question. So following that theory, what would happen if someone uses his blood in a ritual?
Wait, Vampire Jesus or Mummy Jesus?
Either one, I guess. Let's go with Vampire the Masquerade Jesus. I assume he's not a vampire. He is still the person who curses Cain, which makes him the 0th generation kindred, technically. drink his blood, I'd say... Oh god, it's the horrible idea I've already had. You would be effectively a ghoul with access to 8th level disciplines. That's kind of terrifying.
Some guy just made like the most thinly veiled offer I've ever seen, and I don't know whether to laugh at it or not.
In real life or the game?
On Discord, he was asking me what I was doing, and I mentioned I was like, oh well, you know, I'm on this podcast that I do every week, and he's like, oh, what do you guys talk about? I'm an editor. Wow.
Speaking as an editor, that is a strange thing to bring up to a podcaster.
I know. It's like, okay, first of all, if I'm on a live podcast, obviously we're not doing much editing. Second of all, why don't you just throw that? If you are, in fact, an editor of any merits or caliber, be it literary, video, music, whatever, why would you make it so awkward?
Well, a lot of people who really focus on doing editing and stuff like that don't exactly have people skills.
This is true. I'm an amateur editor, and my charisma on camera is a lot better than my editing.
Sigh. Much audible sighing. Going from there, Shelby, if we went with D&D, a vampire's a vampire, a mummy's a mummy, and there are already rules for what happens if you chow down on either one.
Technically, depending on what module we're using for vampire, also, if you are using his blood in a ritual and he's vampire Jesus, again, it depends on if you are a vampire or not, but because he's divinely touched, that could also be a horrendous fate for a player. Not just the ghoul thing, but also how many other fates could you potentially write for that?
Well, okay, D&D, you drink straight from a vampire. I don't think anything happens unless you do it continuously. And then there's a thing that can happen to you in Ravenloft where you're partially transformed, but not quite. The more important thing would be it's you fed on a being with divine ranking, and you might technically become a proxy, but that rule hasn't been brought in since 3rd edition.
And that's what I'm saying as far as Vampire the Masquerade goes, is if we're going with the Jesus is the ultimate divinity, you know, he is one with God, but he's also a vampire, and a vampire feeds off of him. I mean, not only are they breaking vampiric law at that point, but also they're directly ingesting a religious object.
And then there's one more thing. There was a source book put out in January 2004. Yes, I remember the month. Gehenna. It was meant to originally be the final book for Vampire the Masquerade. It was put out as a game book. It was put out as a novel. I do not recommend the novel. I say this having read it from gut back. Just don't. That said, the book actually has divine blood come up. It's not clear whether it is literally gods, i.e. the god of Abraham, or it's Cain's or something. But the idea is it's too potent, and most vampires, that if they try to take a sip of it, they explode. A human, ironically, can survive this stuff.
That seems odd.
I trust no one cares about spoilers for a book that will be 20 years old in about 10 months.
Not really.
I don't think we need to worry about that.
They give it to the clone of one of the child human clone of a vampiric clan founder who happens to have that clan founder's soul in him. He automatically decides to take the sin of Cain upon himself, thus redeeming vampire kind. For those of you who are curious, yes, it's Solot.
You know, I've often wondered something as far as the whole, you know, the whole religious aspect and what would really happen as far as like Cain killing Abel. What do you think it was like when Abel got to the afterlife?
They've actually semi-answered it. I don't like what they did. They made him the ultimate wraith of forgiveness who tries to hug
No.
Cain.
No, I mean as far as like in, you know, as far as like the biblical sense. Like it wasn't something that was planned. That death wasn't planned. It happened without, you know, without God's express, hey, this is part of my plan.
And he was the first human to be murdered, so like he gets up there and almost every angel is probably like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, it's like, you know, if he gets there, it's like, oh, hey, we weren't expecting anybody for another few hundred years.
I mean, at that point, if you actually want to get really technical, he's the first human to die ever.
Yeah.
So he's up there like, wait, why am I still here? And they're like, well, technically.
But what's the state of the afterlife then? I mean, not only, like you said, they weren't expecting him, but if we're going on the strict interpretation of original sin, he's technically not an innocent soul, regardless of the circumstances.
This also brings up an interesting question, which is, at this point, depending on which school of faith you follow, at this point, Lucifer has already been expelled because God prefers humans over everything. Which means, what do the other angels think of this? Like, they don't know that when humans die, they get immediately, if they're innocent, immediately, like, access into heaven. So this is the first time they're seeing this.
If he gets into heaven, which, again, because if you a strict interpretation of the whole thing says he might not.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you could make the argument that Abel went straight to hell.
But how?
Wait.
But that's the question. It's like they didn't have anything established at that point.
They did not.
They didn't, you know. It's like, okay, so yeah, it's like, well, we're supposed to judge you, but yeah, it's like you're not supposed to be here yet.
Yeah.
Nobody's supposed to be here yet.
Pausing this conversation for a second. So Shelby said, why do ley lines affect ghosts but are never mentioned with vampires? That one's actually pretty easy. Ley lines, depending on your, what are we calling this? Parascience?
Metaphysics?
Yeah, depending on your metaphysical belief, ley lines are energy. They're more magic, whereas vampires are more, yes, there's some magic involved, but they're really just a corruption and perversion of the natural state of a human. So they don't really need to worry about ley lines and sites of power because they are their own site of power. Whereas ghosts need it because that's how they're getting the energy to manifest and exist.
Flip side to the argument, ghosts aren't really blocked by running water, but vampires are.
Yeah, that one doesn't make sense either.
Well, again, it depends on the metaphysics. I mean, do they actually have to stop and count grains of rice? Can you paralyze them by putting a fresh mountain flower against their chest? Different myths, different regions.
Because the running water was mostly, I guess, because of purity. It washes away impurities, but at the same time, why does that matter to a corpse?
Well, I've always seen it described in various different media as far as running water disrupt. It's kind of like think of the magical power as grains of sand. what happens to grains of sand if you try and bridge from one side of a river to another with just by tossing grains of sand into it? You're washing it away as you're trying to build it up, so you can't have so that it disrupts the building of power. That's why at least in the stuff that I've seen as far as magic is difficult to use over running water, because again, it's literally washing away what you're trying to build up. So it would affect ghosts. It should affect ghosts and vampires both, because they are relying on some sort of magical power to exist. Therefore, it's kind of washing away what's helping them exist while they're trying to build, while they're trying to maintain it.
Okay, so you just remembered that fact tonight, and you're using it. I love that about you, Shelby. Pointing out the fallacy that Dracula should not be used as a basis for all vampiric powers, because there was a line in the book that basically said, yeah, Dracula could do all the magic shit, like turning into a bat and communing with wolves, because he went to school for it, not because he's a vampire.
Doesn't the book say Scholomance? And they later Warcraft recycles that term for one of its dungeons.
He did, in fact, go to the Scholomance, which is a magic school with literal Satan as its headmaster, and he got his degree. He finished his education.
I'm now imagining those old Sally Struthers ads that end with "Get your degree." Necromancy, diabolism, infernalism, or get your degree.
Yeah. Well, we were reading it as part of a Tumblr post, and someone was like, this means that if you ever get into a story where Dracula and Victor Frankenstein meet, Dracula can absolutely talk shit, because at least he got his degree. Which just led to me remembering that Victor is in fact Swiss Italian and was born in Nepal, so why do we keep giving him a Germanic or Austrian accent?
I don't know. I mean, the first Frankenstein film I ever saw, no one had an accent that wasn't U.S. or British. And then it was the very first Frankenstein movie, at least the first one that was a talkie.
Yeah, I got kind of embarrassed that I had to explain to my mother what hammer horror was.
Peter Cushing, he's a good guy. He's a bad guy.
Well, she's like, you keep saying hammer horror. What is hammer horror? I was like, okay. Well, the fact that you are a Universal Monsters fan and you don't know what hammer horror is kind of makes me sad, but...
I mean, if you really want to screw with someone's heads, introduce them to the film Gorgo. What if Godzilla happened in Scotland?
I mean, if you really want to push someone's limits and see what they do under stress, just show them Manos.
The Hands of Fate.
Yes.
Proof that no one can pull off that Speedo.
I still think my favorite little part from that is, everybody's how many people are like, wow, that guy is just like, yeah, this guy seems like he's really on something or other. It's like, well, yeah. The I don't know what you would classify him as. Butler, the
caretaker?
Yes, the caretaker.
Shall we say? Yeah, where everyone's like, he's clearly on something or disabled. I was like, yeah, it's called psychological torture.
No, he was high on LSD for the entire shoot.
Well, yeah, he was. I'm talking about the character.
I'm talking about the person.
Yeah.
Like,
but then
the actor was literally high on LSD the entire fucking shoot. That's why.
That's the character in that damn movie.
I'm not sure he was supposed to be like that. That's the thing. It's like, I think it was just, no, he was high on LSD and they're like, fuck, we can't get anybody else in. So, yeah, this guy's just out there.
Cue Princess Leia singing in the Star Wars special. Because Carrie Fisher was not sober.
I mean, that's just Carrie Fisher's life.
I mean, it's true.
She admitted it.
We know. I mean, remember when she said, "Yeah, I'm familiar with that type of sniffing."
Yeah. Why would sleeping help a crippled limb?
Yeah, don't try and apply logic. Do not.
I was gonna say, why am I questioning a Bethesda game? No, my bigger question is, why am I in a vault and I don't have a doctor's bag or Radaway right now?
And folks, it is about 3 hours in, and I am going to need to be up semi-early-ish for work tomorrow. Something I'll need to work around if we do a campaign, of course.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think. I think we're good to call it for tonight.
Yeah, I think so.
My bed is starting to sound really, really nice right now.
Yeah, I have a bed with a dog screaming bed.
All right. Well, as always, guys, thank you for being here and keeping it entertaining.
That's what we do.
Absolutely.
You guys want to say your good nights?
Good night, everybody.
I'm back on the air tomorrow night.
And that's on
WEFT, Community Radio for East Central Illinois. 90.1 FM within Champaign County, or tune in online, new.weft.org/listen.
See, if you're gonna mention it, you can do the whole
the whole
thing.
tagline.
Yeah.
My brain has to work first.
Well, we can't wait that long.
Oh, well, it's never happening then.
So, yeah, as far as the campaign and everything goes, I think what we need to do is we need to set aside a day where we all just kind of get together, if possible, and we'll just hash it out and see if it is feasible.
I like that idea.
Agreed.
And I do like the idea of a Fallout themed tabletop. That's something I've never done. I don't think I've ever really seen anybody do. So it's like that would be something that's not only would be fun, but would be unique as well.
And even if we can't get like the official ones, I'm sure me and Wrestling could bang something together.
Oh, I'm
That'd be
sure.
True.
I'm sure you guys could. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and do my outro. So I will talk to you guys later.
All right. See ya.
Catch you later.
All right. As always, thank you guys very much for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're new here, don't forget to press the subscribe button. If you want to help the channel out, there are several ways. Sharing the video and sharing the channel is a huge, huge help. If you want to help financially, we do have our merch page down below. It's the top link. We have t-shirts like this one. We have posters. We have notebooks, stickers, mugs, all kinds of stuff. If you want to help out directly, there's our Ko-Fi page for one-time help and Patreon page for ongoing help. If you want to be kept up to date on when we go live and stuff like that, make sure to ring the bell, but also check out the social media links down below. The Facebook page, the Twitter account, the Tumblr account, and the permanent invite for the Discord server. where we talk about all kinds of weird and wacky stuff, and also that's where I generally show the work that I'm doing as far as set scenes and stuff like that. All that so that you can stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions. Cheerio!